what's your favourite scene so that I can get mine out of the way?
Okay, you wanna flip things.
Yep.
Okay, so my favourite scene is definitely a spoiler, and it's when the main character James, one of the main characters, shoots his brother.
Oh yeah.
Because
you weren't expecting that, were you?
I was expecting that, and
you weren't expecting that then.
You can sort of see it coming, but his brother has kind of come almost to the rescue. He's essentially come to pick his brother up after, things have gone wrong that evening between James and Kristen.
What has gone wrong?
Well, James, I don't know the actor's name, but
Scott Speedman.
Thank you. He has asked Kristen, Liv Tyler, to marry him.
Her name.
To marry him. And
Sexist.
she, although we don't actually see what happens, she has obviously said no. So he calls his brother earlier in the evening to come and rescue him, essentially. So eventually, after the kind of home invasion has started, the brother shows up and he's walking kind of cautiously down the hallway. He can tell something's not right, and you can see the man in the mask, one of the three strangers, is walking behind him. And so you kind of you don't know exactly what's going to happen, but you know something bad's going to happen, and you know that his brother has got a shotgun aimed at the doorway.
Okay, yeah.
It's really awful, and the James doesn't realise right away that it was his brother, and he just sort of says, he wasn't wearing a mask, why wasn't he wearing a mask? So he actually has to go and look before he realises what he's done. So I just feel like, obviously it's a strange thing to say, it's my favourite film, my favourite scene, but it's just a very effective scene.
And there's a lot going on there. So
yeah.
I understand that. I very much understand that. So
come on then. What is the scene? You've rushed us into this part of the show. Tell us why.
So, the scene that stands out most for me is kind of an obvious one.
Right.
If you've seen the film The Strangers, this scene will stand out. I mean, hell, it was on the poster.
Okay.
I think it may even be the front cover of the DVD. It's the bit where... I was about to say Scott, but his name's James. Scott Speedman, James. He's just left the house.
Yes.
For reasons. I can't remember.
He's gone to get cigarettes, no?
Oh, that's it. Yeah. He goes to get Kristen cigarettes.
Yeah.
And she's in the house and she's playing music and she's just a bit freaked out. And as she starts walking through the main living area, from behind, without any dun-dun-dun music or anything, the man in the mask just comes kind of out of focus into the room and just watches her. And just stays watching her.
Yeah.
And she goes off, she gets a glass, I think she makes water or something like that. Makes water? She does a water.
She takes a piss?
No. She pours herself a glass of water. And the man in the mask remains there. He doesn't move, just remains there. And to me, that is both a really clever scene, because again, the camera stays on her, but you can see the man in the mask and the white mask just come behind. And that's really freaky and really well done.
It is, and I think that it does all this kind of subtle horror really, really well. In this, even down to the sense that, I'm going to ask you what your favourite line is before I go on to my point here.
Okay.
What is your favourite line?
It's kind of obvious. Again, it's Kristen. She says, "Why are you doing this to us?" And Dollface just goes, "Because you were home." Which is a bit bloody freaky.
Yeah, I mean, it's, because obviously they send Dollface ahead, without her mask on, to knock to see if anyone's home, essentially.
Is Tamara home? Yeah.
Yeah, it's Tamara, actually.
Tamara?
That's how she pronounces it.
It's Tamara.
Yeah, I know, but she says, "Is Tamara home?"
Oh, right, okay.
And, and it's...
psychos.
you can kind of almost imagine the three of them plotting what they're going to do, and it's like, well, what am I supposed to say when I go to the door? You know, we just asked for someone random, like, you know, Tamara. But what would have happened if someone answered the door and they were like, "Oh, Tamara? Yeah, hang on a second.
Tamara!
Yeah.
Tamara, somebody here for you."
Yeah. Come in. Do you want something to drink? You know, she'll be there in a second.
We're having a bit of a shindig, actually.
Yeah. We're having dinner. Come on, join us. You know, she'd have been, actually, no, it's the wrong Tamara. I'm just going to go. But it's this,
strangers, the awkwardness.
Yeah. Oh, that's obviously, you know, that is probably the scariest thing that could happen to a person.
What awkwardness?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking like they went to like 4 houses before.
I think so, yeah.
And in every house, Tamara lived there.
Yeah. How many people are called Tamara in this goddamn neighbourhood? But it is the no reason behind it, and later on in, you know, after they've kind of stabbed them, the couple, they kind of, the pin-up mask.
I can't remember her name, actually.
Pin-up.
Is it Pin-up?
It is.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. She says something along the lines of, "It'll be easier next time."
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, well, this is the first time they've done this, and this is something that they kind of, it's like, oh, we want to do it because we do, and we don't have a reason for it, and we're not robbing them. We just want to torment people for no reason, which is terrifying.
It is. It is very, very
You know?
much terrifying. I mean, okay. Did you say your favourite line?
I did not.
Say your favourite line, then.
So my favourite line comes pretty much right at the end.
Okay.
And the 3 strangers are driving away, and they stop as they see these 2 little Mormon boys pushing their bikes down the road, and Dollface gets out, and the boys have some pamphlets, and she says, "Can I have one?" And the boy says, "Are you a sinner?" And she says, "Sometimes."
Would have been better if she said, "Of course I'm a sinner. What are you, some kind of Mormon?" Sorry. That's an Eddie Izzard joke as well.
Sure.
I've got Eddie Izzard going through my brain thanks to Poisonous Cabinet for some reason.
But
okay.
yeah, it's kind of, you know, and that also implies, well, you know, you don't know anything about these 3, but they obviously have lives. They have, you know, a background, you know, they have a family.
Oh, you never, I mean, do you see their faces properly?
No.
No.
You see Dollface's real face, kind of in shadow when she knocks on the door asking for Tamara.
Who's played by, I want to say Emma Ward.
Okay.
Which I think she's been in films.
Okay.
Well, now she's been in this one, but
at least one.
I think she's been in something else like a Pirates of the Caribbean film or something like that.
But you don't see the other 2 at all. They take their masks off. Which is kind of a, you know, that's almost like a death sentence for Kristen and James. It's like, you've seen our faces, you know you're not going to survive now.
Let me ask you a question. Is this film scary, or is it just well shot?
That's a good question. I think...
Thank you, I wrote it myself just now.
Well done.
Oh, no.
It is scary. First viewing, it is scary.
Second viewing?
You know, subsequent viewings, you know what it's about. So I think it's still enjoyable. You know, it is shot very well.
I admit that, again, because it feels like it's been ages since I've seen this film, I will say that the very ending with Kristen and James, I forgot that. That is really brutal.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, because this isn't a particularly very gory film.
No, there's not really much gore in it. There is some very kind of subtle, and momentary bits of gore, and even you know, when they do get stabbed, it isn't particularly gory. It's not very nice, but it's not.
It's brutal without being really that brutal.
Well, it's not gratuitous.
Yes, there you go. But is this film scary or just well shot?
It's scary.
Okay.
Because, you know, if you live in a house...
In which we do.
And you don't want people to come and kill you...
In which we don't.
Then you are probably scared of that.
Yes.
So it's both. It's scary and it's well shot.
I mean, I can't argue with your logic there.
Well,
I just
thank you very much.
you know what? I can agree with a lot of things, but that I 100% agree.
What's your opinion?
I think it's scary the first time you see it.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, with a lot of films, like you watch it once or twice and then it's like, it's not that scary.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people would probably say, oh, first time I saw Blair Witch, it was horrible. The next time I saw it, it was like meh. Which, if I'm honest, first time I saw it, I was like meh. But I skipped the whole, it's scary. With this, I wasn't scared.
No.
I had forgotten that it is as brutal as I said. I think it's also beautifully shot. I don't think I have many complaints about either of the actors or anything.
No.
But also, I am still a little bit meh about it. It's okay. It's good. It's good. It's no Spaceballs, which is fine. But it's no Exorcist either.
True. I think that it's interesting because it's very much a kind of snapshot of this one night. You know, there's no character development per se.
True. Yes.
With the two main characters, with the couple, you kind of get an insight into what has happened that night between them.
There's a couple of flashbacks.
Yeah. And the kind of situation, the relationship, you know, the kind of atmosphere between them at the time. Which is interesting. You know, it's a really interesting premise and setup for what is going on. So, you know, they're not a, you know, just engaged couple having a romantic evening together.
No.
That's what they were meant to be having, but it's gone wrong. So there's a feeling, you know, there's this kind of sadness, you know, that you feel from the beginning. But that's it. You know, you don't even know what she said to the proposal.
Yeah, it is. Completely.
So it's
almost like the end of Lost in Translation. You don't know what Bill Murray whispers to her.
It's just like I
you
said.
can guess.
Sure.
So
it is just it is just about what happened that night.
So The Strangers, the Lost in Translation of horror.
Exactly.
I was impressed because we had a question on our live thing about what actors could do a horror film. And Scott Speedman has done like some underworld films and did The Strangers, and I think he's done a few other horrors.
Right.
Liv Tyler hasn't done loads of horrors, and it was good to see her in a horror.
Yeah.
So Liv Tyler isn't. I mean, she was a very promising big actress, but she doesn't seem to do much now.
No.
Not loads. I think she did Empire Records. She then did, I want to say, not straight away, but it was like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And then she kind of just stopped.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah. Which is a bit of a shame, because I thought she very, very, very much suited the horror genre.
Definitely.
So, speaking of genres, what's your favourite home invasion film?
I think probably You're Next. You're Next.
What, you've already said it?
The film titled.
Right, You're Next. I already knew that. I was just playing with you because I'm a son of a gun. I love You're Next.
It's fantastic.
I do not want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but if you're into kind of 80s, kind of gory films, I recommend that.
It's, to clarify, it's not an 80s film.
No, I know it's not.
But it's... No, I know. I'm clarifying for the listeners.
Oh, for the listeners, right, yeah. I forgot about them. Sorry, listeners.
It's not an 80s film, but it has a very, very 80s vibe to it.
It has a bit of almost John Carpenter feel to it.
Absolutely, yeah.
It has
great score and really good characters.
Booby traps and stuff.
It's brilliant. I was so pleasantly surprised when we first watched it. So
if you're not massively into gore films, kind of give it a go anyway, because it's not horrendous. It's not like Human Centipede or anything like that.
It's not just torture porn. It is.
No.
It has a lot going for it.
Yeah, it is awesome.
And badass female lead.
Best final girl ever.
Absolutely.
Screw Sydney Prescott. No, she sucks. You know. Yeah, Laurie Strode, she's all right, but she's no the final girl from
You're Next.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Is that your answer as well then?